Hey everyone, this is Kennedy Hawk from the MCM Fan Podcast. Today's Mighty Marvel Minutes is going to be a little bit different. We're going to go through the FFG article, the Vision Hero Pack announcement, and try to get some good 2020 vision and get some insight into this pack. I'll try not to make too many cornea jokes, but we'll see. Let's get right into the Hero Pack and talk about what FFG has spoiled for us. So we have Vision, who is Vision on both his alter ego and hero form, and he has a unique hook, just like every character in Marvel Champions. Vision's unique hook is he can change his mass form, which is a permanent upgrade that's going to start in play. Let's get started by reading his alter ego card. 3 recovery, 11 hit points with a hand size of 5. This is already sounding like a bad hero. Nobody likes to have a hand size of 5 in alter ego form, and 3 recovery out of 11 is pretty dang low. But if we read his ability, while you are in dense mass form, you get +2 recovery, so you get almost half your hit points in recovery just off your card. While you're in intangible mass form, you get +1 hand size. Put your mass form upgrade into play on the intangible side, so you're going to start at 6, so this isn't too bad. It's a little bit of a bummer. Everybody else has like an alter ego ability, or most characters have an alter ego ability that when you flip to alter ego, you get some big bonus. And Vision's big bonus is just being a normal hero. So that's kind of a bummer, but we'll see if he's got other things to compensate for that. Next, let's look at the first mass form, Intangible. It's a double-sided card, mass form permanent. Vision cannot attack or defend, so that's new and interesting already. Reduce the amount of damage Vision takes from each attack by 2. This is amazing, so without defending, you're basically getting a 2 defense, but not just for the villain, for all the minions that attack you, so you can just chump fleets of minions without even worrying about them. You can almost make minions trivial if you're willing to stay in intangible form, which is pretty crazy. The Vision Hero card has 2 thwart, 0 attack, and 0 defense, and the ability Density Manipulation. Action, change your mass form by flipping your mass form upgrade over. So you'll be able to flip from intangible to dense form, and dense form reads permanent, while in hero form, Vision gets +2 attack and +2 defense, so you can get yourself up to a 2/2/2. That's really good. After you change to this mass form, draw 1 card. That's amazing. So your first turn, you're going to start with 6 from your alter ego ability. You're going to flip to hero form. If you flip your mass form that first turn to dense, you can go to 7 cards before you even spend any cards from your hand. At the end of that round, you're only going to draw up to 5 because your hand size is still 5 in hero form. But then when you flip back down to alter ego, at the end of that turn, you're going to go to 6 and then be able to draw to 7 again if you're flipping your mass form every turn. So you kind of get to do double flips, one of your hero and one of your form. But if you flip every other turn, you're going from 7 to 5 to 7 to 5 to 7 to 5, which is similar to what Captain Marvel does. So this is sounding great already. Let's go on and look at his signature upgrade. We have Vision's Cape. While you are in dense mass form, gain Retaliate 1. So that's the form that is 2/2/2 stats. While you are in intangible mass form, you gain Stalwart. Stalwart is really good. This means if you are stunned or confused, just by flipping, if you have Vision's Cape out, you're going to drop that stunned or confused off you. That's amazing. That's really, really, really good. Stalwart on heroes is really good, let it be known. So we have that right there. All right. Let's look at his events. So he's got some pretty versatile events. He's got Solar Beam, which is an attack and a thwart. Hero action attack. If you were in dense mass form, so the one where you can attack, you deal 7 damage. A little bit worse than Swinging Web Kick, but hero action thwart. If Vision is an intangible mass form, remove 5 threat from a scheme. So not like the best threat removal for investment, but a very versatile card that's going to be able to do whatever you want when you need it to. We have Mass Increase. Play only if you're in dense form. When Vision defends, prevent all damage from that attack. Stun the attacking enemy after that attack resolves. Amazing. This is really good. This is good. You're going to have to defend, so you either use your defense stats or use some other defending card, but you're going to want to do that so that you can stun the enemy. And it's pretty cheap for a stun, which I like. Phase Disruption, 2 cost, play only if you're in intangible mass form. Confuse an enemy, choose the attachment of that enemy with the text hero action or hero response, and discard that attachment. So what I like about Vision so far is you have control over your mass form on your hero side. We haven't seen anything that has prevented him from changing mass form yet. So these cards are never going to be dead cards. It's never going to be, oh, I'm stuck in the form I don't want to be in, and this card isn't as good, like sometimes it can be with Spectrum. You're always going to be able to be in control of what form you're in. That being said, if you flip to a form and then draw a card, like you do when you go to dense form, you might top deck a intangible mass form card and not have a way to get back. So there are some circumstances where you might draw into something that's not ideal, but for the most part, pretty good. He's got access to Stalwart, Stunned, and Confused, so maybe his 5-card hand size and alter ego form isn't that big of a deal, since we already talked about going 7/5 and having this pretty bonkers suite of events. Next, let's look. Vision has access to some recursion, so he's got Density Control, the upgrade. After you change to mass form, discard this card and add a Vision event card from your discard pile to your hand. So you can only add one of those 3 event cards from above, or any more that get revealed, but that's still pretty good. I'm still pretty happy with that ability. Being able to return some of your best cards to your hand is never a bad thing, especially since you're just paying now to have a card later. You are artificially increasing the cost of that card by 2, right? Because you're having to pay 2 for density control, and it doesn't cost anything to change your mass form, but having it in your hand at the right time could be really good. Next, we have 6/16 Hickory Branch Lane, Alter Ego Action. Exhaust this card, search your deck and discard pile for an android ally, and add that to your hand. Now, I saw this, and it was pretty puzzling, because the only android ally we had before the Vision pack was Vision himself, so clearly we're going to get some androids to talk about here. The first one is his signature ally, Vivian, which is a 2-cost, 2-health ally with 1/1 stats. But while you are in intangible mass form, she gets +2 thwart, so a 3 thwart ally for 2 cost. While you're in dense mass form, she gets +2 attack, so a 3 attack ally for 2 cost. Both of those are amazing. Now, it's important to point out we have card 3, 4, and 7 here, if you look at the bottoms of the card. And then we have cards 8, 12, and 11. So cards 3 through 12 are going to be Vision's like 15 signature cards, or 2 through 12 if you include a 16 for the forms. So we've got quite a few of Vision's cards revealed already, right? If we look at it, we've got Vision's Cape, 3, 4, 5, or 4. I can almost count 5, 6, 7. So we have 7 of like the 10-ish cards that are going to be available to Vision. So that's a lot of them. There's 3 cards we don't know, but we can have a pretty good idea of what his kit's going to be like, and it looks really, really strong. Let's move on to these aspect cards. We have some android supports, or android trait support. We have the 2-cost ally, Victor Mancha. He's from the Runaways in the comics, if you've read those comics. He's 0 thwart, 0 attack, 4 health, so he's going to be a blocker. Reduce the amount of damage Victor Mancha takes from each attack by 1. So he can block for the villain, reduce it by 1, hopefully survive 2 villain attacks. It's an interesting ability. He can be really good at blocking minions, obviously. Minions with 1 attack, he can just tank them for the rest of the game. And he's pretty cheap, so 2-cost allies, never going to be bad. Speaking of 2-cost allies, we have Machine Man as a basic android ally. When Machine Man attacks or thwarts, spend up to 3 resources of any type. Machine Man gets +1 thwart and +1 attack for each resource type spent, so you could pump him up to a 4/4 with 3 health. Now, it doesn't say that there's an ending to this statement, but Scott from Scott's Play in Discord has reached out to the game designer, and they have said that this only lasts for the current attack or thwart. So you're going to have to spend this each time he attacks or thwarts. It's not going to last, like, infinitely, if I recall what was said in Discord correctly. Next, we've got Jo-fore-caster. I really like Jo-fore-caster's design. She's got 2 thwart for 2 consequential, 1 attack, and 3 health. You may play the event attached to Jo-fore-caster as if it were in your hand. What event? Response. After Jo-fore-caster enters play, choose a defense event in your discard pile and attach it to her face down. This is really good. We have lots of recursion in Vision's kit and in some of these cards here. And this is kind of like programming Jo-fore-caster. When you play her, you pick something and load it into her as a program, and then you use it later. We'll talk about this in a little bit, but this is a really, really good ability. So we're not going to sleep on Jo-fore-caster, because she is going to be something that changes how protection decks work. All right, what else do we got for androids? We get a basic event, Reboot. It's a 1-cost event. Ready a friendly android character and heal 1 damage from it. So this is not bad at all. This is really going to help us burst with android characters. Unfortunately, the characters we just saw don't have great stats other than Machine Man, who you really have to pump up. So maybe this does last until the end of the round. We'll have to get clarity on that, and hopefully they errated it when this pack comes out so we know exactly how this ability is supposed to work. But either way, a way to boost your androids. I like it. All right, let's get into our protection programming. We have 2 new protection cards on this slide here. We have Defiance, which reads Hero Interrupt. When a boost card on an enemy attacking you would be turned face up, discard it instead. So you do this before you see what's there, which isn't that great, but also you're canceling not just the boost icons, but the boost ability too. So depending on the villain, this can be really strong. and it's 0 cost, which just makes it pretty amazing. And we have Flow Like Water. This is probably my favorite card in Vision's entire pack. Play under any player's control, max 1 per player. After you play a defense card, deal 1 damage to the attacking enemy. So this is amazing. Anything that pushes your win condition for doing something your deck already wants to do is good. One of the things that protection can struggle with is getting damage onto the villain, and this is just going to accelerate that. Even if it's only ping damage, you're pinging tough off the villains so that you can swing at them, you're pinging damage back onto them every time you're doing a good thing for you. It's not something you're having to go out of your way to do. So I really, really, really like Flow Like Water. All right, so those are all the cards we know from Vision's pack. We did see that Ultron is his nemesis in the FFG live stream a couple weeks ago, but it wasn't in the Hero Pack article, so I don't have a picture here. But let's talk about some combos that we can do with some of these awesome Vision and Aspect cards. So first let's talk about Reboot. It doesn't really work great with the androids in Vision's pack outside of Vision, but if we look at Vision from the core set, we can have really, really bursty turns. You can imagine with Vision on the board, you can now pay an energy resource to bump him to 4 attack. You can attack with him for 4, reboot him, attack with him for another 4. You've still got 2 health left, and you could block. So you could do 8 damage in a block with only reboot in your hand and an energy resource once you get Vision on the board. But if we want to be even crazier, we could do things like Inspiring Presence and Get Ready. We can really burst and use as much health out of Vision as we can. So remember, Inspiring Presence is play only if you have the Adventures trait, but you heal 1 damage from an ally and ready it, just like Reboot, but it's not limited to only androids. So this can go in like an ally bursty deck, but again, you could get Vision to 4, you could reboot Vision, so you're now swinging for 8, and you've only taken 1 consequential. You could Inspiring Presence Vision, so you're swinging for 12, and taking only 1 consequential total so far. And then you can get ready, so now you've done 16 damage, you've taken 2 consequential, and you can block with him at the end of the turn. And that right there, that's 5 resource cost of resources plus the energy resource from Vision, so 6 cards from your hand, basically, for 16 damage in a block. If I could do 16 damage in a block every turn, I'd be real happy. All right, let's see if we can get even crazier than that. So we're going to need some hero like Captain Marvel that has a ton of card draw. But if we put Inspired on Vision, we're now doing 20 damage from those 3 readies plus Vision's base stat, and we still only end up with 2 consequential damage on him at the end of him. So you could even last stand, and I wrote 23 here, but you could do like 25 damage with him because he still gets his +3 from Inspired and his ability. Oh no, I did my math way wrong. Yeah, so he gets 5 from his base attack, 5 from Reboot, 5 from Inspiring Presence, 5 from Get Ready, and then you could last stand for another 8, 28 damage out of Vision in 1 turn. Or you can not use that last stand and you can block and do 20 damage in a block. That's really strong for an ally. And will this replace Goliath, who used to be the old bursty ally? I'm not entirely sure yet. It might. It might just be something that synergizes better with Goliath. Goliath used to outclass Vision a lot because Inspiring Presence and Get Ready worked on him, but Vision now has the chance to have 9 cards that can ready him in your deck, which is really, really, really strong. So we'll see how that works out. I think it's going to be a really fun, bursty leadership deck that has been missing a few pieces before, but now it might have just enough pieces to make it work. All right. Let's talk about Prickly Protection. We love talking about this with Black Panther. Some of these new cards are going to make Black Panther super fun. You can imagine if you had Flow Like Water and Electrostatic Armor down, and Black Panther gets attacked, and you play Defiance. Defiance now counts as you defending, so you cancel the boost icon, and you're only taking the villain's base attack as your attack, so you know how much damage you're taking. You deal 1 damage from Electrostatic Armor, 1 from Retaliate, and 1 from Flow Like Water. That's 3 damage back at the villain's face. That's awesome. We could get even crazier with this and start looking at other older cards instead, and we could use Sidestep instead of the new Defiance. So now Black Panther's attacked. He plays Sidestep to avoid some of the damage, so he deals 1 damage from Sidestep, 1 damage from Flow Like Water, 1 damage from Electrostatic Armor, and 1 from Black Panther, so he picks back for 4. And you could imagine it could be even more. Protection now has the ability, with some of these new cards, especially with Flow Like Water, to build these decks that just let you swing back at the villain for 5 to 6 damage after they attack you. And don't forget, we've got Bait and Switch, which can force the villain to attack you during the hero phase. So you can do this even if you draw into the cards later, or maybe the villain was stunned so you didn't get to use them all when you had them in your hand. There's a lot of cool ways with Protection now, especially using Flow Like Water and especially using Defiance that are going to let Protection punch back decks really take wind. Alright, let's talk about Jo-fore-caster for a minute. I have seen a lot of people say Jo-fore-caster seems a little underwhelming. Her stat line isn't amazing, let's not lie. But the ability to thwart for 6 in protection or 4 in protection is already pretty strong because you can use her thwart twice. But getting that event under Jo-fore-caster is super important for protection. The hardest thing about playing these protection decks that have a lot of responses and interrupts during the villain phase is you have to draw into the right cards at the right time, or you have to hold cards from turn to turn, which we talked about this week is a bad plan. You're wasting resources when you do that. So Jo-fore-caster lets you do that a little more efficiently. You can put cards under Jo-fore-caster, or a card under Jo-fore-caster when she comes into play from your discard. Then you can have it available to you at the right time, and you don't have to bank on drawing into it. A lot of times when I build these defense event decks, I have to put way too many defense events into my deck in order to make sure I'm drawing into them at the right time, and then I draw into some of them at the wrong time, but she kind of circumvents that problem. You're going to be able to run slightly less defense events, but you still want to run enough that there's some in your discard pile. So she can thwart for 4 and get you this event later, which is like pretty essential. So one important thing to also note is when you pay the resource cost for Jo-fore-caster, that goes into your discard pile and then she enters play. So you can even pay with a defense event that's useless to you during the hero phase, and then stick it under Jo-fore-caster and then have it for the next villain phase, which is really, really, really strong. Alright, let's talk about some cool combos with Vision and just some reminders for each aspect. So Vision has a lot of synergy with Aggression. I am probably the most excited to play Vision with Aggression. I've seen a lot of talk on Discord. Someone pointed out that you can use Plan of Attack with Solar Beam to grab a thwart. That's amazing, right? So Plan of Attack normally searches for an attack event, which is what Aggression wants to do, but here you're searching for a thwarting event, which is a little bit interesting because Solar Beam has both the attack and thwart trait. Let's not forget, in Intangible, we reduce the amount of damage we take from each attack by 2. So cards like Get Over Here and Angela go and summon minions, and if those minions have 2 or less attack, you don't even care about them. You just let them sit there for a while until you can take care of them. And that's one of the things Aggression has a lot of, is minion control and bonuses for defeating minions, like the Into the Fray or Chase Them Down cards. You can now tank those minions for a long time sitting in intangible form until you draw the pieces that let you take advantage of them. So that's going to be a really cool, it's almost like a thwarting aggression deck, because you're searching for Solar Beam to thwart and sitting in intangible mode. You're looking for Chase Them Downs and Into the Frays. Meanwhile, you're tanking minions using Get Over Here and Angela. Really excited about this deck. I literally cannot wait. Alright, for Justice, I wanted to remind everybody that intangible form only stops you from attacking and defending. You can thwart in both forms, and that's going to make Vision a really strong Justice character. You can imagine you're going to be sitting in intangible form, again, for a long time, tanking those minions, but then you can flip down and let Quake finish off a minion or damage a minion. Or you can flip to dense form and use Stealth Strike to defeat that minion and remove threat. You're going to have a really strong Justice build with Vision just because he doesn't have any limitations on his thwarting capabilities. Having 2 thwarts is always going to make you a strong Justice character, but I think he is going to be especially strong with Justice, especially wanting to flip so much to get to that 7-card hand size if he can manage it. Alright. In Protection, again, I'm all about intangible form right now, as you can see. I'll probably have to think about dense form a little bit more and figure out what fun things I can do with that, or you can tell me in the comments below. But in intangible form, you can imagine if you get an energy barrier out for 2 resources on your first turn, you can now sit in intangible form and reduce the next 3 villain attacks by 3. That's bonkers. You can also do things like use Get Behind Me to have the villain attack you, knowing you're going to eliminate 2 of that attack damage or mitigate a lot of it. And it's important to include cards that aren't defenses when you're playing Protection with Vision as well. So cards like Subdue let you sit in intangible form and soak damage, but still defend for other players without using an official defense event. Alright, and finally we go to Leadership. So, again, I'm all about intangible form. We can sit here and just let the villain attack us, and that means we don't have to chump block with our allies. So I'm thinking about cards that really let you burst and use those ally stats to the best of their abilities. So obviously Maria Hill is going to be great. I mean, I could just throw Strength and Numbers and all those things on here, and that's going to make Vision good. But really think about using your allies for their stats and not using your allies to chump block. So using cards like Last Stand and some of the new tech that we saw is coming in War Machine's pack is going to be really strong with Vision because he doesn't need those allies to chump as much since he's got this innate block 2 damage per attack ability in intangible form. So those are my thoughts on Vision. I'm really, really excited to try him out. The aspect I'm most excited for is aggression, and the aspect I'm least excited for is leadership, which is kind of interesting to me. But I think he's going to be really strong in all four aspects. So be sure to check out FFG's website and the Asmodee web store or your local game shop and go pre-order Vision today, because he is going to be something that takes us into the future of Marvel Champions. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great weekend, and we'll catch everybody back on Monday.